Hey, what's going on, Black people? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. If you've been following this situation with Jonathan Majors, the biggest actor in all of Hollywood right now, incredibly talented. His recent arrest on a domestic violence charge. There's been a crazy new development in that case. In addition to the arrest, it turns out that he has another very public accuser who is now connecting a historical pattern of behavior to Jonathan Majors that could literally end up costing him hundreds of millions of dollars and cost his investors over $1 billion. We're going to talk about that in just 1 second. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboystv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and we talked a little bit earlier about Jonathan Majors, and you know Jonathan Majors from the movie Creed. He was also in Ant-Man. He was in a lot of other movies recently, and he's just done such a great job. He's now a big major star at Marvel and some other places. A lot of you know that he was arrested today for an alleged domestic violence incident involving a woman. From what I understand, she was a woman who was not of, let's say, a melanin complexion or melanin adequately melanated. How about that? We know how those things go. And I don't know what you guys think about this one way or the other, but I'd be curious. How many of you have been following this? Give me a yes if you noticed this story. This is kind of a big deal. Everybody's talking about it. And I was very concerned about it because I'd been talking about Jonathan Majors recently due to the fact that he's so good. I mean, I just saw this guy in these movies and I was so impressed with his talent. I was so impressed. I mean, he just killed it in Creed. He killed it in Ant-Man. He plays his villain so well. I told my wife, I said, he reminds me of Denzel, in terms of just having that Denzel level ability on the screen in terms of connecting with the audience and whatnot. And so I was wishing him wishing him well. I was really I was assuming he's going to just go and take over Hollywood. Well, unfortunately, as situations happen, bad things occur. And so tonight he was arrested in a domestic violence incident with a woman. And I've seen a lot of your comments. Some of you are saying that this is a problem, and that you need to hear her because she's a woman and stop believing people just because they're celebrities. And I agree with that. But then also there are people who understand that history of what a false accusation can do to the life of a Black man when the consequences are so great, just unbelievably great, when you get accused of something you didn't do. It's kind of a scary world to live in as a Black man, knowing that somebody could just say something about you and take everything away. No one else on this planet has to live under that kind of weight. No one else on this planet, do you hear me? No one else on this planet has to experience the stress of constantly knowing that if somebody accuses you, if the wrong person accuses you of the wrong crime, you're done. You're done. You're talking about 25 years in prison, getting beaten and raped for the next quarter century. You're talking about losing every ounce of wealth that you have. You talk about losing your whole reputation, having people think of you as a predator. So it's a tough it's a tough conversation. Well, anyway, with Jonathan Majors, his problems kind of got worse. I was going through Twitter, and I just read about the story, and basically Majors had a girlfriend who says that that he choked her, and she was, went to the hospital for a while. I think she's out. He was arrested for a while. He's out, but he's accused of strangulation and some other things. And I talked to my wife about it for a while. If you go to drboystv.com, you can actually hear that conversation because I wanted to hear from my wife, who's a woman, and she's also a therapist. a relationship therapist, and we talked extensively about how you can minimize those kinds of conflicts in your own relationships. I encourage anybody who doesn't want to embarrass themselves or end up with the police getting called or end up losing people they love to learn conflict resolution skills. So go check out that video at drboystv.com. Well, right after this happened, there was another accusation against Majors. Now, this was not from a woman. This was from a guy I've never heard of named Tim Nicolai. And apparently, Tim Nicolai is in the Yale acting community. Now, if you recall the history of Jonathan Majors, a lot of y'all don't know his history, but this brother's been through a lot. You know, he went through a lot of ups and downs. He lived in his car for a while. He hung out with a lot of street dudes. He was in a lot of unfair situations. And he eventually got into Yale because they saw how talented he was. So in a way, his situation it sounded almost like a like a Fresh Prince of Bel Air kind of situation where he got this opportunity to be in this space of Yale actors. You know, remember Angie Bassett and her husband Courtney Vance? I think they both went to Yale, and a lot of other great actors went to Yale. So he got into the Yale space, and there's this guy named Tim Nicolai who went on Twitter and he put up a really damning tweet. I'm going to show you the tweet that he put up, and then I want to talk about it and kind of what it really says to me. So here's the tweet. I'm going to let you guys kind of read it. And here it basically says, I'm just going to say this about Jonathan Majors and be done with it. Folks at Yale and the broader NYC community have known about him for years. He's a sociopath and abuser, and that is how virtually everyone speaks about him. It's a shame it took this long for him to be reported. Now, what do y'all think? I mean, do y'all think, and then, do y'all think that is damning, or do you think it's just much ado about nothing? I don't know. What do y'all think? Answer me in the chat. What do y'all think? Okay. I see someone says too much gossip, not enough facts. Monica says conspiracy. If he did hit his girlfriend, he deserves punishment in jail. Now, I don't know about the white guy. That's his problem. Okay. I don't know if he hit a black woman, though. I think that he hit a white woman, but I haven't confirmed yet. Why haven't we heard of this before then? So here's what else he says. He says, a bunch of us are close with people, and sometimes multiple people he has directly harmed. I don't know if they will speak on it. It is completely their decision. Then he says, probably going to delete this when it turns into active harassment, which is inevitable on here. It won't matter. I'm sure other folks are already verifying. So he says that there are people verifying his comments. Now, what I'm going to look at, actually, I didn't take a time to look at that yet, but I want to see if there's any verifications in there. Let's see here. I'm reading. I see people making comments about his comment. Someone says, thank you for coming forward and spreading awareness about him. But and they said, do you feel comfortable stating what abusive acts he's committed specifically to other people? Let's see here. I'm reading. Now, this is interesting. Now somebody also held him accountable. They said, if y'all knew that this man was terrorizing folks allegedly for years prior to being famous, and y'all wait until he has an incident while being famous to say something, that's very suspect. I'm looking. Interesting. Okay. I'm reading. Nobody came forward to verify any of this, right? So this is interesting, right? So there are a lot of, so this kind of says something, right? It says that, yeah, he can say what he wants, but it doesn't sound like anybody's really coming to back him up. So either he miscalculated the number of people that would support him, or maybe he's just a hater. Maybe he's just another person that's just, part of the conspiracy to take him down or something, right? Conspiracies have happened. But one of the things I want to encourage Black people to kind of do is not believe everything's a conspiracy just because you think somebody looks cute on screen. A lot of times studies show that Black people actually worship celebrities more than any other group. Literally, there are studies on this. Studies show that if a person is a celebrity, Black people will believe the celebrity no matter what they say or what they do. And I think that that's very damaging in general. I encourage you to use your own head. I'm kind of looking at this like I hope that he didn't do it, right? I hope that he didn't do the things he's accused of. I'm also looking at this as another black man to say, if he were my brother, my son, or my nephew, I would say, okay, you need to avoid situations that you've been in that could cause you to look bad because now you've got $1 billion on the line. You've got $1 billion on the line. If you add up the amount of money that Jonathan Majors affiliated films are going to make from the box office in the next, say, 10 years, you're probably talking about $3 or $4 billion. So you got billions of dollars on the line. People will lose billions of dollars if you don't learn how to keep your shit straight. So that would be the other thing I'd probably say to him. The third thing I'd say to him is is that unlike society, society believes black men should be thrown away. Black men, you're the only men that people will just throw away because you made one mistake. Think about this. There's nothing. Name one single thing that a white woman could be accused of that's not a masculine crime like murder or something like that. Can you name one thing a white woman could be accused of with no evidence and have her whole life and all her freedom taken away, all her wealth stolen, and her whole life thrown away? I'll wait. I want y'all to name one thing. Can you name anything that a white woman could be accused of that could literally cause her to lose her whole career, all her wealth, all her freedom, and ultimately her life? Can you name anything? So I think that it's important to understand as we assess how to sort of look at this is to just realize that, when you're a black man, particularly a high profile black man, you've got to play fourth dimensional chess to survive. Number one, if you're playing checkers, you're going to lose. And then number two, the reason these conversations become so complicated is not because people don't believe the accusers. It's not because people don't believe the accusers. It's because the stakes are so high. It's because the stakes are so high. If it were a matter of like something where the punishment fit the crime, like, okay, you got accused of something, maybe you did it, maybe you didn't, but you're gonna do 3 years in jail, or you're gonna lose, $100,000 or something like that, then that would be a different conversation. But when it comes to things black men get accused of, I mean, God, like we will lose everything overnight. And there are brothers who lost everything and didn't even do anything wrong, just ran into somebody who knew their power and used their power in a racist way. So this is a delicate conversation. What one thing I can tell you that I believe that society does not believe about Jonathan Majors is here. I'm gonna give you my honest assessment. Give me a yes if I can give my honest assessment of the Jonathan Majors scenario based on what I see and based on my instincts. Give me a yes if I can do that and still be loved, even if you disagree with me. I don't ask you to agree with me. I just want you to hear me out. Give me a yes if that's okay. Okay, thank you for giving me permission to do this. Here's what I see with Jonathan Majors. Um, this brother has been through so much trauma. It's ridiculous. I read Major's whole bio. It reads like a horror story. Jonathan Majors has been through so much crap his whole life. You can't help but root for him and be happy for him. You can't. I mean, this brother was, you talk about, started from the bottom, now we here. This brother was living in his car. He's been around the dope dealers, the gangbangers, the thugs, the pimps, the gangsters, the killers. He had to live around all of that, you know, and uh, and he had to survive in the middle of all of that. He's been arrested before. He's had to do things to survive. Now, does that mean he didn't do something unethical? I'm sure that he did at some point. I'm sure he maybe did. And so what happened with him is that because he was so talented, he eventually got into this Yale space. He got around, all these white folks because you know how white folks are. When they see a talented Negro, they want to jump on board. When they see a black man that's got some talent, they want to give him an opportunity and bring him into their space and make him into one of them. And the problem that we don't talk much about as black people is that, trauma has a price, man. Trauma has a price. People act like you can go through all kinds of hell, get your ass beat, get your stuff stolen, have your mama die when you a baby and crazy crap like that, and then you're supposed to just go through life like it's okay. Like you just now that you're at Yale, all that trauma just disappears. It does not disappear in your brain. Has anybody ever read what trauma does to your brain and to your body? Has anybody ever read that research? If you've ever read the research, you will know that trauma does not go away, it stays with you. So, what I see with this brother is he's probably pretty traumatized. I think that what he went through has affected him. It wouldn't surprise me if he's done some things that he shouldn't have done. And for whatever he has done, I think that there should be a price to be paid for that. But at the same time, you know, being black is really hard and being a black man is really hard. And the idea of canceling and throwing away another human being just because they made one mistake or two, that's BS. And it's only applied to black men. Nobody else gets thrown away except for us. Joe Biden threw away a million, probably 2, 3 million black men in the 1990s. Threw them away. You don't throw away white women. You fix them. You don't throw away white men. You give them a second chance. You don't even throw away black women. Black women can go and, you can have a black woman that makes a lot of terrible mistakes. But as long as she shows that she's improved and she's changed, society has grace for that. I don't think the world does that with black men. I really don't. So with Jonathan Majors, um, my fundamental belief is that it is completely conceivable, impossible that he may have done something with this lady and that was inappropriate. Also, this statement by this guy from Yale, where he says that all the people in the community knew what kind of person he was and they knew the kind of things he'd done. I'd like to see more evidence of that. I'm not going to dismiss that just because he's a celebrity. I'm not going to dismiss that just because he's in my favorite movie. Um, I really think that we should hear everything. And I don't know if I think intelligent black people can hear everything. Those who are hypnotized by celebrities are only going to see the celebrity status, right? And as you know, that's going to be about 70% of the black community. 70% of the community is going to make a judgment without knowing any of the facts. They're going to treat it just like a police shooting. When a black man gets shot by a cop, 70% of our people don't even say what happened. They just say a white man shot a black cop or a black guy. That means it was racism. And I think that unfortunately undermines your ability to ever fight racism because you're not even taking a moment to even use your fucking brain. So with this situation, I don't think there's anything that happened that night, in my opinion, that would legitimize the idea of destroying his whole career or taking all his wealth or taking all his freedom. However, if there was evidence that he did something to break the law, then the appropriate penalty should be applied. So if he is penalized, I would expect him to not be penalized any worse than white celebrities who've done the same thing. When you got Robert Downey Jr., another Marvel star who's had more than his share of arrests, I would just hope that he gets the Robert Downey Jr. treatment and that it comes across in a way that's done that's designed to be fair. And I don't think that's too much to ask. And so for those of you that are jumping to one side or the other, I encourage you to just kind of sit down and be quiet because you don't know all the facts and you don't know their relationship. You don't know that he's innocent. You don't know that he's guilty. I would let the facts come out and then make a decision at that point. So anyway, that's my 2 cents, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. My throat's a little bit dry today because I'm overcoming the flu. So you got to forgive me for the weird noises in my throat. My apologies for that. So I hope you guys have a good night. God bless you, and hit the thumbs up button on your way out. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care now. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV. Here we are.